Deputy Foreign Minister Ravanchi, thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you. Good to be with you.
Okay, tell me what is going on. What has been damaged? How close to your headquarters? What can you tell me exactly about what's happening right now?
We have been witnessing an act of aggression, a clear case of naked aggression against Iran and the Iranian people since 5-6 days ago. We were about to start new round of talks with the Americans on Sunday. That was 15th of June. And 2 days before, we were attacked by the Israelis in the middle of the night. They attacked residential areas. They attacked paramedics. They attacked citizens who are just sleeping in their homes. They attacked our university professors. So this is a crime against humanity, pure and simple.
Okay, so Mr. Ravanchi, they also attacked your military leadership. Your intelligence headquarters, we understand now, has been hit for the domestic control. They've attacked and tried to take out and damage your important nuclear sites, the centrifuge sites, the uranium enrichment sites, and others. They are causing a lot of hardship and damage to your regime. Do you believe that? It seems that from here.
No, as I said, they have been involved in an act of aggression, and they have, martyred our military people as well, along with many Iranian citizens, and they have no boundaries. They attacked everywhere. So you mentioned attacking against our nuclear facilities. These are safeguarded places. It is a crime in accordance with the international law to attack, a place which is safeguarded under IAEA rules. So unfortunately, the Americans and some Europeans have shielded the Israeli regime not to be criticized at the board meeting, Board of Governors, IAEA Board of Governors meeting, and also at the UN Security Council. So it's a shame to all those who are protecting this regime.
Okay, let me get to a few things. Clearly, you must be concerned. You must be worried that more leadership targets will be hit. You have the supreme leader, your ruler there, Ayatollah Khamenei, the Ayatollah, has come out and said that you will never surrender in response to Donald Trump. But I understand also that things are pretty bad for you and that you have tried to reach out to the US and to Israelis to try to get some kind of negotiation track back on track. Is that true?
No, that's not true. I do not share your assessment. We are not reaching out to anybody. We are defending ourselves. Although we have always promoted diplomacy, but we cannot negotiate under the threats. We cannot negotiate while our people are under bombardment every day. So we are not begging for anything. We are just defending ourselves. And we have an experience of 8 years of war against Saddam's aggression back in the 80s. And now we are defending ourselves against the Israeli regime, which is being helped by Americans, which is being protected by Americans and some others.
As you know, the Israelis are much more sophisticated and powerful than Saddam Hussein ever was. That was some 40 years ago. This is a much bigger order of magnitude. As you know, also, President Trump is publicly weighing whether to join the strikes and whether specifically to hit, for instance, the very deeply buried Fordo facility with the very big bombs. What do you think? What are you reading? Do you think the Americans will get involved? And what would your response be?
We don't know. If the Americans get involved, directly, definitely our hands will not be tied. We will do whatever necessary to protect our people and our interests. The Americans have been collaborating with the Israelis, although they have said it that they do not have anything to do with this conflict, which is not true. But if they decide to be engaged militarily, direct military involvement in this massacre, definitely we will do whatever necessary to protect ourselves. And by the way, Fordo is another protected site based on IAEA rules. So that will be another instance of a crime which is being done, unfortunately, by Israelis and Americans, which is prohibited under international law.
I'm going to get to that in a moment, because the Israelis say their intelligence said that you were moving towards weaponization and they had to act now. But I'm going to ask you that in a moment. But first, do you believe that what is happening is regime change targeting or regime destruction targeting? How do you assess the removal of a big layer of military commanders and what President Trump said about Ayatollah Khamenei, that he would be an easy target if they were to decide to take him out? How do you interpret this? Is this about regime change?
I don't know about their intention. Just ask them what the intention is. But we will do whatever necessary to protect ourselves. And we have the experience of, as I said, 8 years of war during Saddam's era, when everybody was helping Saddam. So you say that you should not compare Saddam and Israeli regime, but do not forget the fact that all the world were behind Saddam at that time, and we were the ones who resisted. And now there is a very strong cohesion within the Iranian society to resist aggression, to resist foreign interference in our domestic affairs. So you ask the people who are in Tehran, ask the embassies, ask the people who live in Tehran these days, and ask them the morale of the people, and you will understand that the Iranians are behind their government because they are facing a foreign aggression which will be resisted.
I'm going to get to that in a moment, because you all were very surprised when Assad fell. You didn't know that he was that unpopular with his people and he fled at the last minute. I'm going to get to that in a moment. But first and foremost, I want to ask about the negotiations. President Trump has apparently told allies and friends that he felt he was being played by the Iranian government, that there was no, willingness or immediate prospect of you agreeing to the conditions of, of a negotiation. He said he gave you 60 days, and on day 61, you still hadn't come. Why? Why didn't you agree to the terms? And do you believe you had a 60-day deadline?
No, nobody can put any deadline on us. When we negotiate something, the two sides have to agree on the timetable of the negotiations. This is point number one. Number two is that we really doubt the sincerity of the Americans in the course of 5 rounds of discussions that we had. We had good discussions, and at the last round, we were given, some document by the foreign minister of Oman, and apparently both sides felt that that was a good document to be worked on for the next round. But before the next round started, 2 days before the next round started, the aggression took place. So this is a betrayal of diplomacy. This is the betrayal of our trust to Americans. We should be the ones who should criticize the way that we were treated by the Americans, not vice versa. Okay. In fact, no deadline is going to affect our way of negotiations, and then we will do whatever necessary to protect ourselves.
This is obviously a very fluid situation. The Israeli airstrikes continue. America is weighing, or Trump is, whether he will get involved. He's now saying that you, the Iranians, have suggested that you come to the White House to negotiate. He says you're totally defenseless. You have no air defense whatsoever. He says next week will be big. And he says that unconditional surrender means that I've had it. Your reaction?
There is a famous saying that nobody can threaten Iranians. They should not dare to threaten Iran. We will do whatever necessary. Although there are hardships, no doubt about it, but Iranians are known to be very hard at defending their territory, and this is exactly what we are doing.
Did you ask to go to the White House? Has your government asked for access?
Not Christian, not at all. Okay. Not at all. We are not begging for anything. What we are saying What we are saying is that stop this aggression, then we will have time to do whatever needed. As long as the aggression continues, as long as this brutality continues, we cannot think of engaging.
Okay, so let me ask you this, because it is clear, and we can see it, that a lot of your military capability has been degraded. It is clear. They say that they have control of the skies, and they're even reporting that fewer and fewer missiles are getting into Israel. They're even, the defense minister, saying that they might, you know, as he says it, release the population to go back to work and to come out of their shelters. But I want to ask you this. Why did you surge production of 60% uranium to the point that you have right now between Trump's inauguration and now? Back then, you had maybe a 5 to 6 weapon capacity if you had decided to. Now, a 10 weapon capacity with these 400 kilos of 60% uranium. Why did you do that?
You know, we were acting based on our rights. Within the NPT, we didn't have anything wrong. IAEA inspectors were present in Iran. You know, different reports of IAEA testify the fact that we have been very, you know, straightforward in our nuclear program. So there is no ban on 60% enriched uranium, which are being used, you know, in different places for peaceful purposes. But to use that as a pretext to use aggression against Iran, that is something that we resist.
Okay, but even the IAEA says, and they put out a public statement shortly before these strikes began, that they had never before seen that amount of stockpile of that much enriched uranium by any country that does not have a nuclear weapon. So that's a fact. And I want to know whether you guys were negotiating, and do you feel you've been out-negotiated or you miscalculated? If Trump says he thinks you're playing him, maybe you've been played.
No, that was, as I said, we were negotiating in good faith with Americans. 5 rounds of negotiations. And apparently both of us were happy with the ongoing negotiations. But all of a sudden, 2 days before, you tell me that he gave us 60-day deadline. And on day 61, they attacked us. But what was about to happen on day 63? So the American president should respond to this question. If he knew that the attack was about to happen 2 days before the next round, why did he why did he act like this? In fact, as far as NBC report is concerned, on June 8th, Defense Department, Pentagon, briefed the president about the attack. So he didn't say anything. In fact, it is a sort of collaboration between Israelis and Americans, and a division of labor between the two.
Mr. Deputy Foreign Minister, I want to ask you some more things. Again, I referred to your surprise, and I know this because I was in Doha when Assad fled, and I was meant to be interviewing your foreign minister. He had to rush back for emergency session in Tehran because your key ally in the region collapsed and fled. And it was a total surprise to you. And now, in the aftermath, an Iranian general was quoted in the New York Times, as you probably know, General Espati. He had made a speech in a mosque in December, and he made a sobering assessment of your military capability. He said, you know, when he was asked if Iran would retaliate again for various killings like Hassan Nasrallah of Hezbollah, he replied that Iran already has done, and that the situation couldn't realistically handle another attack on Israel right now. In other words, that your capacity has been diminished and degraded. Do you agree with that?
So you do not expect me to reveal, military secrets. What our military people have been doing is exactly based on the calculated, things that they have in mind. So they are doing based on the plan that they have, prepared for themselves. So don't mix things with each other. One night or one day, the military might decide to do in one direction. Another day, they might go to another direction. That doesn't mean anything. Mm-hmm. So you are just referring to the reports coming out of America? Or
No. I'm referring to an Iranian general. Sorry, I am. But I also want.
I'm just. No, I was referring to the fact that you said that some Israelis are saying that Iran is in short of missiles, or an American military, people are saying that Iran has shortcomings in this and that. So do not look at these information at face value.
Okay.
They have other things in mind when they have interviews and make propaganda against Iran.
Okay, still quoting an Iranian general here. Clearly they believe, and I assume you believe, that if you attack, and you might call it retaliation, whatever, if you strike any US bases or US personnel, the reaction will be humongous. Can you say that you would not do that even if America joins? In other words, are you trying to make sure that America doesn't come into this?
No, we have not acted against anybody than the Israelis.
I'm saying if America comes in.
But I'm just responding to you, Christian. If the Americans decide to get involved militarily, we have no choice but to retaliate wherever we find the targets necessary to be acted upon. So that is clear and simple, because we are acting in self-defense. If another country joins the fight, so that is another instance for our self-defense. You do not expect Iran to not use its right of self-defense based on Article 51 of the UN Charter.
About regime change or regime destruction. Again, after the fall of Assad in December, there were many reports from, coming from inside Iran, how pundits were talking on state television, on Telegram, on all sorts of chats, how Iran had misjudged the dynamics, particularly, in your closest ally. There you were, propping him up. You were the ground forces. You were his ally. And he fell, and it took you all by surprise. So, do you believe that you have a handle on what your own people are feeling? What if you're taken by surprise and they take this as an opportunity to demonstrate their anger and their impatience with what they have had to go through for many decades?
As I said before, come to Tehran, come to different cities in Iran, and see for yourself what is the cohesion within the Iranian society in resisting aggression. Iranians have always been famous for their steadfast against aggression, against foreign intervention. Do not compare Iran for any other country. I do not have any other country by name in my head, but Iran speaks for itself. You have been in Iran before. You are familiar with the mentality of the Iranians, with different walks of life, with those who are critical of the government, with those who are supportive of the government. They have one voice. They resist the aggression, and time will show that we are right.
And finally, Israel says that it believes you were on the verge of deciding to make a nuclear bomb. Now, Trump is moving in that direction, even though his intelligence chief said that's not the case in terms of their assessments. But do you now think that this clear attack on all of your facilities and your conventional weapons, if you survive, will Iran decide to become a nuclear weapon state?
No, we will survive. That is for sure. This is the point that I need to emphasize. The other point is that we do not believe in nuclear weapons. There is no place in our defensive doctrine. Nuclear weapons have no place in our defensive doctrine. In fact, we believe that the world will be a better place without the nuclear weapons. But who has the nuclear weapons in the Middle East? The Israeli regime. Who has the weapons, the most sophisticated weapons, nuclear weapons? The Americans. So they are the ones who should be responsible for all the chaos that are going on in different parts of the world as a result of desire for achieving nuclear weapons.
Deputy Foreign Minister Majid Takht Ravanchi, thank you very much indeed for joining us, and we hope that we can talk to you again.
My pleasure. Thank you, Christian.